If you were to ask most people what was the first sin in human history, they would readily answer you it was the sin of the first fruit that was eaten by Adam and Eve. But if you ask them what was the second sin, they wouldn't necessarily be able to answer you so quickly. What was the second sin? Well, after Adam and Eve consumed the forbidden fruit, God came to Adam and said, is it true by any chance that you consumed from the fruit of the tree that I told you not to eat? And Adam turned to God and said, Ha'isha she'natata imadi, the woman that you gave me, she took from the fruit of the tree and she gave it to me to eat. And here Rashi says these three words, kan kafar batova. Here Adam was showing a lack of gratitude to God. God provided him with an ezer kenegdo, a helper, a helpmate. And he had a total lack of gratitude towards God and towards his wife. He blamed her for the sin of eating the fruit. So the second sin in all of history was in fact a sin of a lack of gratitude, hakarat hatov. And we can contrast Adam's behavior with that of Rabbi Akiva. And this is a story that is brought by Rav Chaim Shmulevitz, the late Rosh Yeshiva of the Mir Yeshiva in Jerusalem and in Lithuania, when he speaks about the importance of hakarat hatov, of gratitude. Rabbi Akiva had a sense of incredible gratitude towards his wife that he could never repay her back for his entire life. What was the story? Rabbi Akiva was a shepherd, and he was an ignorant person. He was unlearned. He didn't even know the Aleph Bet. He didn't know the basics of Judaism. And Rachel, the daughter of his employer, Kalba Savua, who was a very wealthy man, saw this Akiva, this shepherd boy, in the field. And she noticed that there was something unique about him. He was unlearned, but he had a wonderful personality and he had great potential. And the two of them were married. In fact, they had to elope because her father was not interested in having a son-in-law who was an ignorant person. And they lived in abject poverty. They had absolutely nothing. They basically had straw to sleep on. And yet Rachel said to Rabbi Akiva, I see great potential in you. I see greatness in you. You have to go and study Torah. But how could he go? He was a man of 40. He couldn't even read the alphabet. He would have to go with his son to school. But he did it. And he was hesitant. And at each point she pushed him and she said, you go back and you learn. And you do that. And eventually he had to leave home to go to the great yeshivas. And he was away for 12 years. He hadn't seen his family for 12 years. He came back for a visit. And just before he arrived at home, he overheard the neighbor speaking to his wife and saying to Rachel, where's that good-for-nothing husband of yours? He's just left you as a widow. What's happened to him? And she said back to the neighbor, if he would listen to me, I would tell him to go back for another 12 years. And that's exactly what he did. He went back and he stayed there for a total of 24 years. And when he came back this time, he had 24,000 students. And there was a hustle and a bustle and everybody wanted to see this great rabbi who had come to town. And of course Rachel went out to greet her husband, but there was no way to get through. There was such a massive throng. And he sees her coming in the distance and he shushes everybody and he says, let her through. And he says those famous words, Sheli v'shelachem shelah. Everything that I have, all of my learning and all of your learning is because of her self-sacrifice. It all belongs to her. She gave up everything so that I could become Rabbi Akiva. And there is a very happy ending to the story because Rabbi Akiva's father-in-law, now realizing that he had a son who was a great rabbi, reinstated Rachel as his daughter, and they were able to live now in a great deal of comfort. And this concept of hakarat hatov appears at the beginning of our Parshat, where the Torah says, Vaya ki tavo la'aretz, it will be when you come into the land that Hashem, your God, gives you, and you settle the land, and you grow fruits. You are to take from the first of your fruits, all of the effort that you've put into the ground, take from the very first, bring it up to the temple as bikurim, the first fruits, present it to the Kohen, and there you have to make a statement. You can't just bring it, you have to do what's called mikra bikurim. You have to read a script, and in that script you speak about all the goodness that Hashem has done for the Jewish people. That He saved Yaakov from the hands of Lavan, that Yaakov went down to Egypt. He was persecuted there, but there he became a mighty nation. And Hashem took out the Jewish people with signs and with wonders and with miracles, and He brought them to this land. And now, Hashem, I'm taking from the fruit of the land that you gave me, and I'm acknowledging that you have done goodness to me. That is hakarat hatov. That is what we're learning from this important parsha. And in fact, the Pesach Seder quotes this section as being the main part of the Pesach Seder, because the Pesach Seder, as one rabbi once told me, is the Thanksgiving meal of the Jewish people. It's our opportunity, at least once a year, it should be every single day, but at least once a year to say thank you to Hashem for all the goodness that He has done for us. That is Hakarat Tov. And now in the approach to Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, we should use this opportunity for introspection. We should look at all of the goodness that people have done to us and say to them, thank you, and reciprocate that goodness. And not be, as Adam was, a kafri tova, an ingrate. I wish you all a Shabbat Shalom and a Ketiva v'chatima tova. May you be written and inscribed in the book of life and blessing.